isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creatives, where we sit down, often with special guests, and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so that you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. Hi, I'm Simon.
And I'm Greg.
Together, we are Cinemate Films, two Scottish-based wedding filmmakers who love nothing more than drinking coffee and talking shop with others in the wedding industry. This episode is, of course, sponsored by With Jack and Pick Time, but we'll get onto that later in the show. Good morning, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. Who are we talking to today?
We are talking to Luke Bell. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, Luke.
I'm good, guys. Nice to meet you both. Excited to have a quick chat this morning.
Yeah, It might not be very quick, but it'll be a good chat, hopefully.
I'm hoping that our listeners are they've turned on their engine, they're heading off to their wedding or their elopement, and they're listening and they're thinking, "Oh man, I hope it's not short." It won't be. Don't worry. So let's just start by having you introduce yourself, Luke, to those of our listeners who might not know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you?
So, my name is Luke Bell. I live up near York, but most of my work is down in London and around the south. Been sort of wedding photography full time for about 9 years now. Prior to that, I'd done bits and pieces, lots of different kind of other photography things, but no weddings at all. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I'm kind of gearing up, ready for my wedding season now. It seems to have been a slightly slower start this year, and then I think I had 3 in the last couple of weeks, and then I've got a big one this weekend, and then it kind of snowballs a little bit from here throughout the year as well. So yeah, kind of excited for what's to come this year. Certainly, if the weather continues to be as nice as it is today, that's for sure. I've been quite lucky with the weather so far this year. But yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell at the moment.
Cool. Well, I mean, why weddings in particular? Was it just the money?
Yeah, you said you were doing photography in some form before that, but what then sparked the wedding side of things?
It's a tale as old as time. When I first started, I was living in New Zealand, so I kind of bumbled my way around for a while. And me and my wife decided that we want to go live there for a little bit, wanted to go live somewhere else for a little while. So I arrived in New Zealand, and my background was in fine art. And so when I arrived at customs and immigration, they were very much like, well, you need to go get a proper job, X, Y, Z. And they kind of gave me these indications to go kind of hunt out these sort of particular kind of companies that would hire people with my skill set or my education in New Zealand. And I ended up working for a tourism photography company in Queenstown in New Zealand. And Queenstown, if you're not familiar with it, is bungee jumping, jet boating, skiing, snowboarding, mountain bike. It's like extreme sport central. And I just properly kind of like lucked my way out and got a job with these guys and ended up working with a partner of mine called Nick. And we ended up doing a lot of kind of event stuff, a lot of sports stuff as well. And that's kind of what I did for like 4 or 5 years when we were over in New Zealand. And it was great. But the whole time, despite the fact that Queenstown is one of the most beautiful places you could ever imagine, no weddings, really. No weddings. It was all very much like the other side of things. And Nick, my partner, he'd moved out from the UK and he'd done weddings before I had. And he was very resistant to the idea of us picking anything up like that. He was like, look, it's hard work. It's not worth the money, X, Y, Z. And so I just took him at face value and assumed that it wasn't an area that I really wanted to investigate. Fast forward, we move home, me and Kathy, my wife, we move home, and moving back to North Yorkshire, there's not a lot of snowboarding. There's not a lot of skiing. There's not a lot of bungee jumping here. So it was that thing where a friend of a friend was getting married, and I needed to get work. I needed to get back on my feet. Having moved home and having to start a new business again. And so I kind of just did that thing where I shot a friend's wedding and then I shot another friend's wedding, and that was kind of it. And I think very quickly I knew that it was pretty awesome. Like straight away it was that controlled chaos of a wedding day. It doesn't matter whether it's a small kind of little elopement, like local elopement, or whether it's this grand kind of luxury kind of like event somewhere as well. Like they all still kind of share that kind of lovely controlled chaos, all these little aspects to it that as a photographer, that's kind of like, that's the X factor stuff that I've always kind of wanted to find in my more formal work. It's very hard to do it when it's in a formal kind of setting. So yeah, I started with friends, and I then quickly sort of built a website and advertised locally, your wedding photographer Yorkshire. And I went to a couple of workshops. I went to Andy Gaines. Andy Gaines is a pretty well-known York wedding photographer, the most well-known wedding photographer, and met a bunch of friends there and kind of started like a little friendship group, which was great, and started to kind of feed off each other through that, which is great. So it was lovely learning stuff from Andy, but then also it was nice kind of getting those connections with other people at a similar stage to me as well. And I think I was still only shooting part-time at that stage. And then I think after maybe a couple of years of sort of finding my feet and figuring out what I wanted to do, I sort of had a little bit of a crisis where I felt like the work I was making wasn't the work that I wanted to make. It was more what my couples expected of me. And I took sort of 6 or 7 months to I was still shooting weddings, but I knew that I wanted to kind of push my work in a slightly different way. And at the time I was sort of rediscovering a lot of the fine art kind of influences that I kind of done at school and university. And I ended up doing, I came up to Edinburgh and I met with Dylan Kitchener, which was amazing. And I'd seen his work, and it's very intentional. It's very cinematic, very beautiful. I'd always adored the Kitchener's work. It's always stood out. But I wasn't really interested in making work like theirs. But we ended up just spending the afternoon just chatting about movies and how cinematographers frame things, how directors kind of approach situations. And it kind of, that little light bulb moment going off where it was like I could approach a wedding with the same kind of eye as almost like a director does with movies, to kind of imagine the wide establishing shots and then getting tight, looking for like the small details, looking for the abstractions, all those bits and pieces as well. And I completely redid my website. I completely took everything down that I'd done, all the barn weddings, all the kind of the local stuff I took down. And I realized that I wanted to sort of shoot more in London. I realized that I think where I wanted my photography to be kind of worked better in an urban environment, or works really well in an urban environment. Right. And I kind of rejigged my business over a year or so into kind of shooting down there and shooting everywhere. And I do shoot all over the place, I should say. And yeah, I kind of feel like COVID hit. And then since COVID, it's sort of coming out of it, and I feel like I'm finally back on an even keel, and I'm finally kind of making the work that I've always kind of wanted to make now, which is great, really. And I'm very lucky to have some incredibly trusting clients and some great friends within the industry. And all of it kind of started from this whole little kernel of just, shooting a friend's wedding, like 9-10 years ago now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So talking about the movies, the filmic aspect of your portfolio, I would say that was the first thing that I noticed right off the bat. In fact, it's the first question actually that I've got in my notes, was to ask you about that kind of mindset, because I'm wondering, was that in your head before you met up with Dylan, or because I know we've had very similar conversations with Dylan about movies and gear and cinematography and all that kind of stuff. Was that inspiration already with you from back in the fine art times? And
yeah, so when I was at uni, I did it was the history of fine art design and film. So it covered like a huge kind of like swathe of things basically. And I kind of I whittled it down over the 3 years. I ended up kind of finaling in kind of like movie production and cinematography. That was like my final kind of dissertation was on, essentially. But when I graduated, this was a while ago. I just didn't do anything with with that stuff at all. I didn't think anything more of it. I enjoyed movies the way everyone else does, but I didn't kind of apply any of the knowledge that I'd learned at university through it. And then years later, coming back to sort of picking up a camera and seeing the world through a lens, it was, this is all great. This is all awesome. This is really interesting. It's really exciting. But like, I was just trying to find that thing that resonated with me that, and I think the first thing was kind of re-identifying how a cinematographer or a director of photography kind of looks at a scene or frames an image or kind of what it is they're honing in on. And I don't know. I think going up to speak with Dylan was very much like that thing where we just chatted about movies, and he would sort of show me frames from his weddings, and he would show me where the inspiration was for sort of how he had colored it, or how he would use the light at a certain time, things like that. And it was really inspirational, because I think at the time I'd very much would fallen into the wedding photography category of guys shooting, hopefully trying to second guess what my clients wanted from me. And I think there was an aspect of that kind of I didn't quite kind of vibe with at all. And it was more about, I think I was more interested in making work that really resonated with me. Yeah. And cinema was like, movies was the first kind of part of that. And then years going on, I kind of delved back into like fine art and certainly like contemporary photography as well. I like outside of weddings as well. I get a lot of inspiration from that stuff too. But in terms of how I light and I kind of color my work, I think a lot of that just comes subconsciously from watching endless numbers of movies.
Yeah. Like obviously cinematographers and directors, they have the time to set up the lights and set up the scene and the pose and everything, or the action. But on a wedding, you don't have that luxury of setting up the light. You just have to use what you're given most of the time and like use it to your best ability. So I'm imagining, like, because even your like documentary photos, I would say, from a wedding have that scene from a movie feel to them. So how are you actually sort of going about on a day and preparing for that light? It's I don't know. I think this was something that I think after sort of a few months of figuring this out and having this epiphany moment, it was then kind of having to kind of marry up my approach with how I wanted my images to look. And I think I realized very quickly that again, it's that controlled chaos, you know, like I like being in and around the chaos, and I'd rather that than to stage too much of my work. So straight away, it was very much like, well, am I going to have an assistant with a video light? Am I going to have someone kind of lighting certain things? Am I going to, you know, try and kind of like emulate practicals like from a film set and see what I can use with like, and very quickly, like it was that balance between making sure the shots look really cool and really visually interesting the way I wanted them to, but without kind of taking over the day. Like I don't like the ideas of photographers coming in and kind of like basically just managing the day and kind of turning it into something about them. I don't like that for my couples at all. And I think from an imagery, I think the X factor in a lot of images is the stuff that you couldn't have like put together yourself. Like if it is the documentary shots that you might have seen on my site, on my Instagram, whatever, like, you know, none of that's been kind of like constructed. Like that's just kind of there in front of me. And I think even if I went back and tried to construct those images, there's no way I could get even close to kind of creating that kind of X factor magic that just capturing that brief flicker in time kind of has. Yeah. So it's always been that balance of that photojournalistic documentary kind of approach with the cameras, but then also giving it a look and a feeling to each shot as well, which is, I think there's always that balance that I'm always trying to kind of figure out. Even now, I'm still trying to make sure I can kind of get it right, basically.
Yeah. And actually, like when I do look at your portfolio, there are shots in there that other photographers would just not put in a portfolio. And it is that word feeling that you use is a perfect descriptor for when I'm going through, and I hate the word vibe because it's all over the place right now, but there's that kind of vibe that you get from looking at it, and it's really appealing. I do want to ask, though, more for people who don't quite understand, like they've heard the word cinematic and it's been used to sell cameras, or it's been used to sell, it's one of those nebulous terms.
Yeah.
To you, what is cinematic lighting, and how do you go about on an actual wedding day, where obviously Greg alluded to, you don't want to bring in lights, he said. What are you looking for to meld the cinematic vision in your head with the actual practical limitations of what you're given at a wedding day?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay. I think so there's always an aspect to, so first of all, like first and foremost, in any given kind of like stage of a wedding day, and I do try and kind of like mentally kind of divide it up. So like, I've got my bride prep, I've got my groom prep, I've got the ceremony, I've got the drinks reception. And in my head, I've got an idea that when I'm delivering the gallery, that I want each of those sections to have a look to it. Basically, I want when I go into each of those rooms or those kind of environments, I want to kind of set or have the bride set up in the optimal position, or the groom set up in the optimal position, or the guys kind of set up where they can be. It's slight intervention. So it kind of goes back on what I was saying before, that I don't try and intervene too much. But if a bride is in a corner with the yellow light and there's just crap everywhere, then no decent wedding photographer wants that at all. Like, I don't want that hardcore kind of documentary kind of look where the warts and all kind of things. So it is about kind of like repositioning her where the light is best, and then shooting that whole section of the day where she is best, or where the people are going to be best lit around them. Obviously, window light by a mile. Like get anyone near natural light is a winner, whether it be summer or winter. Like always get people near windows. But I'm not adverse to using whatever key lights or what the strongest light source is in an environment. So if there is a lamp nearby and it is a horrible yellow tone to it, but it's still a key light in the room at the moment, so I'm looking at like the powers of all the lighting around the room. It's like, you know what, I'm going to use that as my key light. And although the color cast might be a bit wacky, it might be a bit wild, it'll create like a natural contrast. It'll create the bride or whoever the subject is out of the image as well. So I guess it's a hard question to kind of answer, but yeah, it's always about looking for light sources, always about looking around. I still don't fire my flash until the dance floor, essentially. Not unless I really, really have to, unless I have to shoot in a tiny, awful room. I'm doing groups and things like that. I wouldn't use it doing prep. I don't use it outdoors. It is about using what the best light sources available are, and then making those light sources part of the scene, I suppose, like you would see in a TV show or movie, like they call them practicals, I think. So it's using those things, but then not worrying too much about skin tones, not worrying too much about like whether it's going to work or not. I'm just dealing with that in post, because I think at this stage I'm probably confident enough to know now that when I get, depending on what the white light source is, I know if I can get it into post, get my preset on it, start working on it, I'm still going to be able to get something quite interesting that would, fit alongside my portfolio, that hopefully and would fit alongside the couple's expectations for their images as well.
Yeah, that's cool. I just really wanted to hear your opinion on that, because again, a cinematic, even in terms of like just lighting alone, can mean so many different things to so many different people. There's not really one cinematic way of lighting. For example, take us for example. The way that we try and do things is just to backlight as many things as we can, and to shoot pretty dark.
Yep.
That way you get those kind of like those really nice kind of bold saturation in the darks, but you're still not losing any detail in the highlights. Obviously, we're talking about video here because we don't have the latitude of raw, because we don't shoot raw. And so, pretty much that. Or it's putting someone in direct shapes of light and cutting off the rest of the detail, which is something that you do as well.
And I love all that. So if the thing for me is I like my shots on the whole to be as minimal as possible. Like I like there to be as little fuss around them as possible. I like the kind of the intention to be kind of clear and obvious. So if I am in a room and there is very little lighting, but if I can catch a nice rim light around a profile on someone's face, I'm going to go with that, because I think that's much more interesting than using a flat light on someone's face straight on. I want the images to kind of have that interesting kind of tone to them. I like to kind of bring the shadows down, get all the crap that's in the background out of the way, so we can keep it as minimal as possible. Obviously, pockets of light are great. They're great. Like shoot for the highlights and a pocket of light. You can create something really, really interesting. But then going further than that and having couples kind of move through it, or like then slowing your shutter speed down and making something really interesting with that as well is worth playing with too. So it is always about this net sort of never ending play with light, this never ending experiment, trying to figure out how to use it best. And then again, get those final raw files into your computer, get your preset on, and seeing how it kind of plays out, how it looks, and whether those initial shots taken at the time have really kind of come through, which, hopefully they do essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's like, maybe more so when you were first sort of developing that look and feel, when you were sort of exploring different cinematographers and directors, what was your approach to like idea generation? Were you seeking out certain directors to watch and almost study the work, or was it more just a case of whatever I'm naturally watching, I'm going to subconsciously make notes or intentionally make notes? What was your process at that sort of early stage?
I don't think there was anyone specific. I don't think there was anyone specific at all. I mean, I've got my favorites. There's obviously, you can talk about Roger Deakins. There's Harris Savides, who's done some amazing work in the past as well. Peter Deming. There's so many great like DOPs and cinematographers out there. I think it was more just watching movies and trying to maybe just more of the classics, and then seeing how a director had framed his scene. So like, what is he putting in the scene? Because I think it was a bit of an epiphany moment for me was thinking about like this rectangular frame that we look through on our viewfinder, and it's like, it's completely different to how obviously we as people with our eyes view the world. So it's like, okay, I'm using this rectangular frame. What can I put in there? How can I make this frame really, really interesting, essentially, like in terms of the subjects that are in there, in terms of where the light's going to be, and seeing what these guys were doing for like, for films. And then it's like, well, okay, what can I take and out of this and put into still photography and still make it work? Because obviously there is a difference between, people in scenes talking and interacting with each other than there is over a still photograph, which is, a split second in time. So there was a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of trial and error about it, but I don't think there was any sort of specific kind of source that I was kind of looking towards particularly. It was more just whenever the TV was on, or whenever movies were on, I was like kind of seeing, like, trying to second guess, why did the director kind of make that decision? Why did the DOP make that decision there? If there's a little bit of lens flare, like, well, why has he done it that way? Or how have they done it that way? Can I recreate that sort of thing? So it was a lot of kind of making notes and then kind of acting it out at my weddings next to see if it would kind of work or whatever, using certain lenses over other lenses, and just seeing if I could kind of recreate it all on like small format, DSLRs basically.
Yeah. There's one thing that I love about your work, and again, it's not something that I see a lot of photographers do in this particular way, but it's your 20 shot sequences, which I really like.
Okay, that's cool. So there's two things to that. Okay, so I very quickly, like when I started, I think I obviously went on everyone's websites. It's like, this is what it's going to be. This is what I'm going to do. And obviously everyone's got their blogs. Everyone's got their blog sections. Yeah. And I started going through people's blogs, and I was going through them endlessly. And it's like, okay, that's amazing. But then I realized very, very quickly, I wasn't scrolling past maybe like 20 or 30 images in each blog. So I just kind of put it into my mind that if I was a bride or a groom or whoever, that I was looking at a photographer for my wedding day, I think I just want to see what it is that you're about. Like, I haven't got time to go through 200 shots of a blog post. I haven't got time to do that. Like, I'm going through 20 photographers a day. I haven't got time for that. Yeah. So I've never done a blog post. I do these things called 20 shot sequences. And it's it's kind of like a weird way that I came up with the idea. So after I finished university, before I moved to New Zealand, my thing was I used to run skateboard shops. I was big into skateboarding. That was like my thing when I was a kid.
Oh, and interesting.
And so this is the thing. So one of my favorite skate videos when I was a kid was called 20 Shot Sequence. And it's like with some of my favorite skateboarders ever. And I remember being sat down after kind of doing a lot of this research one day about brides and grooms, and a friend of mine sent me a copy of this old skate video that used to just be on VHS tape, and now it's like digitally online. It's all good. And I remember just looking at it going, 20 shot sequence. And then in my head, it just was like, you know what? Why don't I do my blog post as just 20 shots. And that's all there was to it. It was just kind of dumb luck that I kind of thought about it that way. But yeah, you can find it on YouTube, but there's a classic skate video called 20 shot sequence, which is
I've got it here.
yeah. But that's why they're called the 20 shot sequences, essentially, because it was kind of this serendipitous moment where an old friend had reached out. I was also trying to kind of learn about wedding photography and what I should be doing at the same time, and then realizing that I don't need to share 200 photos from every wedding. Like if a couple gets in touch, full galleries, go for it. Here you go. Like, here's a bunch of full galleries if you want to see what's going on. But I don't need to bamboozle people on my website with hundreds and hundreds of photos. I don't really see a lot of sense in that, essentially.
Yeah. I'm thinking a lot of photographers probably just do the almost full gallery blog because it's easy, and they just go, bang, people can choose what they like. But there's something to be said for that curation. And like, it reminds me of John Dolan, who he gives the couple a printed album of what images he's chosen. Like, he doesn't let the couple choose. He goes, this is what you're getting, because these are what I think's the best, and I'm the expert here. Yeah. Are you quite good at that curation and color process?
So the curation things, that's the big thing that I've kind of stumbled upon, and I think in the last maybe 12, 14 months or so, which was, and all aspects of curation as well. So curating the final gallery. So, and I use PicTime as well. So, making sure that the gallery is sectioned up into sections, and it doesn't have to be necessary. It doesn't have to be sequential in order photos kind of going through those sections. You can play around with them, like being able to use detail shots or abstractions as almost like padding around like the marquee photos. I'm maybe I'm second guessing my couples here, but when I deliver the gallery, I want my couples to be able to really appreciate all the photos, everything that's on there. So rather than just have this, like A to Z kind of like list of photos, the way that they were taken on the day, it's actually, can we rearrange them into like a much more interesting format? So I'm not necessarily taking photos from a different section of the day, but they're photos from, in my mind, that section, but it's just kind of rearranged into much more meaningful, much more impactful way. And I do that with my galleries, but then I also try and do it on my website, where I do think that I'm a big fan of saying less about stuff. So you see my website, it is about as minimal as it can get. And that's kind of the message that I'm putting out there, I suppose, from my personal like marketing side of things, which is, these are the kind of photos that I love to make for you. These are the kind of photos that maybe separate me from other wedding photographers as well. That's not to say that your entire gallery is going to look like all these slightly strange, weird, like abstractions or details that I do like to kind of promote myself with.
Hey, I'm Ashley from With Jack. I'm one of the sponsors of the Perspective podcast. With Jack helps to keep photographers in business by supporting them financially and legally if they have problems with a client or they make a mistake in their work. We've all had that fear of our CF card or our hard drive failing and losing important photos. You can find out more at withjack.co.uk. Head over there and find out how we can help you be a confident creative.
And I would, listeners, if you're out there, at some point, definitely go through these sequences, because they're just lovely. Actually, my instant draw is the fact that you've used like a really good selection of fonts. It's actually something that I'm trying to do more in our films, because it's been. I used to have trouble with this, because we have like an intro section to every one of our films, and it just says couples names, and then we name the movie, and it's always been black frame, couple's name, black frame, film name, in a very basic font, and always been white and black for the longest time, and then it just seems it's everywhere now. So I'm trying to get away from it a little bit more. But yeah, did you buy like a pack of fonts or something, or like what's going on? Because these fonts,
I got so one of my favorite photographers is a guy called William Klein, French photographer from years ago, and he was great at kind of combining really amazing documentary, street photography, and fashion, and he worked with he worked with a lot of magazines as well. So he, you know, there's loads of stuff out there with his contact sheets on them where he has gone with like yellow marker pens and big red marker pens, and he's taken things like that and then he's sent those to the magazines. They then become, rather than that, like the key images out of those contact sheets being the images, like it's the contact sheets themselves. So there is that mixed media kind of interest that I kind of have these days as well. Like I like the idea of like studying typefaces and fonts and things like that. And I think a lot of the people that I try and follow on Instagram now, like that's where I'm trying to get a lot of inspiration from you know, like designers, a lot of the people who kind of do magazines and stuff like that. A lot of that editorial kind of look, like the way that they utilize fonts in different ways. I think that's quite interesting, as well as, again, going back to it, like certain movies, I think you can convey a lot through the color of the font, the type of the font, to kind of give a certain kind of reaction to the viewer. And it's all just been like a playful thing, just like sat on my laptop while Netflix is on, you know, in the evening, just kind of going through, like just tagging certain fonts that I like, that I think might work. And then when it comes through to the part where I'm delivering the galleries, it's like, right, let's see what kind of font will work on the banner image to see whether it'll work. But it's just a lot of messing around and experimentation, I think.
Yeah. I feel like I'm such a basic type person. I've spoken to you about this. It's like when you go into a shop and you see like nice branding on like a coffee bag or a drinks can, you're like, I want to buy it. It's because it looks good. So that was my like instant draw when I discovered these.
Yeah. Tell us a bit more about the minimal copy on your website, though, because as researchers,
bloody
for the podcast,
nightmare! You're a bloody nightmare, Luke.
I'm also feeling that,
guys, I'm surprised it's taken you 30 minutes to actually have a go at me about that, because I was thinking they know nothing about me at all, because I put very little out there. So
is that part of the plan? But also, I'm feeling it can't be great for SEO. So how are you combating that?
So that website I built when did I build it? About 14, 15 months ago. And it was that thing. So my previous website, it still had like the 20 shot sequences on it, still had my portfolio, but it had other multiple pages that had them for when I like for other photographers, like for mentoring, for this, that, and the other. It had like a proper about page. It had a proper contact page. So there's probably about 5 or 6 different pages you could navigate through. And it was great for SEO. Like it was really, really good. And it just, after maybe like 6 or 7 years, it started to look a little bit dated, and it didn't really reflect where I was going with my images and with my business as well. So it was that thing where I sort of sat down and was like, well, what kind of websites do you like? And I again sat for like maybe a good sort of 4 or 5 weeks of just like, what kind of, like, I don't want to look at wedding photography websites. I don't want whatever I made. I don't want it to look like another wedding photography website. Because I do find that, you know, for the most part, a lot of them kind of are very cookie cutter, very similar in feel and tone. You know, it's, you know, that's what kind of happens basically. And I just decided that I think after a period of time where I feel like my business was established enough, and it was more important for me to kind of communicate my aesthetic and the aesthetics that I'm really interested in over worrying about SEO. So I just scrapped all of it. Right. And I just kept it as minimal as possible. And again, it was that whole, I don't know, I'm quite a contrarian person. So if everyone else is doing something, I do like to do something very, very different, which is going to kick me in the ass again at some point. I know it, but I got rid of all the SEO, and I just wanted to put out a very clean, very kind of like bespoke website that kind of reflected the photos that I was trying to make as well. And again, part of that is just barely minimal wording on it. It's like essentially like, if you like the shots, if you like these, then basically reach out. And obviously I will then impart a ton more information to you guys once you kind of reached out to me. But it's been good. It's been really good. I've not really seen a drop off on inquiries, which is amazing considering there's no SEO on it. I do find that it's because of the way maybe like the bright pink fonts and all that stuff, it does kind of stand out a little bit. I do find that it does elicit an interesting reaction from couples when they reach out to me as well. So that was kind of part of the plan with it too. So yeah, I just wanted something clean, something modern, something that was kind of reflecting where my photography was at that stage, I guess.
Yeah. What do couples say about your website when they inquire?
They love it. They love
Yeah.
it for the most part. I'm maybe, again, part of it is I'm trying to maybe weed out people who are a little unsure of it. Like if you're a couple and you want something like a little bit more, out there, a little bit slightly more like a little bit different to traditional wedding photography. I mean, there's so much great wedding photography out there now. I think it's nice to kind of get that stuff in front of couples. And, when you send the full galleries through, because, let's be clear, like my galleries aren't all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I've got group photos. Obviously, I've got portraits in there. Obviously, I've got very intentional things in there. That all exists. That all exists in the full galleries. It's all the other bits that I kind of put in there too. So, yeah, the reaction's been really good so far.
Yeah. I actually really liked your site. And the fact that, I mean, obviously not from a research point of view, because it did make it harder. I won't lie. It did make it harder. But I don't know. I think your website does say a lot. Kind of, again, like your portfolio, that kind of vibe. So I really actually enjoyed it. And the fact that you're, as someone who goes through a lot of photographers' websites, there is a lot of the same. Yeah. There is a lot of the same. And a lot of it is, I like to do this. This is what I do. Me. A lot of it. And I'm like, Jesus. Like, even our website, to a degree, needs work on that end. Yeah. But it's like, I remember speaking to John Carpenter at an event, and he was saying, this is all good. A lot of fluff right off the bat when talking about our website. He was like, you're giving your couples like a lot of trust. You're making them trust you right off the bat, but you're not talking about your approach and how that benefits them. And I think, we still need to do those corrections, but I'm like, a lot of photographers don't talk about that approach, and you don't have any of that on your website, and it's kind of refreshing that I don't need to wade through, have an opinion. I just need to judge the work by itself.
Yeah, which is exactly what a bride and a groom's going to do. I worry that, not worry. Like I was with the decision regarding the SEO. It is that thing where you have to put keywords in. You have to have certain things about all that stuff. And again, going through multiple sites, it's like a lot of people's bios, a lot of people's pages do read the same. And it all just sounds a bit. It's been put in there for the SEO side of things. It's not a really particularly personal statement. It's not a fun statement. It's not interesting to read at all. And I don't know how many couples actually read a lot of that crap at all. So it was essentially this. It's like, putting out a portfolio of work. Do you like this stuff? Here's a contact form. That was kind of it. And it seems to work. And I'm happy introducing myself to couples. I'm happy talking about myself to couples once that's kind of done. But I don't like. I'm not great with putting myself out there in the public kind of space anyway. So having to talk about myself and talk about my photography is like, no, I'm not a massive fan of being able to do that, really.
Yeah, I also feel like I'm not a massive fan of it either, but I feel like I'm starting to get into doing actual TikTok things. This is going to sound absolutely mad, right? TikTok is such a weird thing. It looks like we're doing really well, but we've just got one video that just I repeat and puts out and does really well. I don't know. I find it hard to manufacture that style of video in an authentic way. It's just, I don't know. Anyway,
it's like this is the stuff that gets me so much. So I'm not on TikTok or anything like that. I'm barely on Instagram. Yeah. And everything we're told is like, you need to do this for engagement. You need to do the X, Y, and Z for engagement, like to get people to your page, this, that, and the other. And for me, it's just too much. Like I can't, and this is a personal thing because I see so many guys out there absolutely killing it on TikTok and Reels and all that stuff. And that's awesome. But I made a decision very, very quickly that I can't do that. That's not for me. I don't want to be in front of the camera. I don't really want to spend time making Reels. And I'm not entirely sure whether my work kind of fits in with that kind of stuff as well anyway. So I've decided that when I upload to social media, it is very much kind of, it is these days, it's just about making sure that my grid kind of reflects my portfolio on my website. And it's as simple as that. I don't really worry about likes or comments or being retagged by the planner or anything like that at all. Like, that's great if it happens, but more often than not, like, people are still finding me on Instagram despite the fact that I only posted like 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, and I didn't tag anything. I didn't do any of that stuff at all. So I take my hat off to the guys that do it, and for you guys, especially if you're on TikTok, that's amazing. I've never opened TikTok in my life.
It's a hellscape. It's a hellscape.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like, everyone says like it's a hellscape, and yet like you guys are still trying to make it work for you as well. But I can't. I just don't have the patience for that stuff as well. And the way that, you know, the algorithms change and the engagement change, it just feels like you're constantly chasing your own tail a little bit, because you're never going to be able to second guess what they're going to do next with the algorithms and how people are going to kind of find you, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. I will actually bring attention to your Instagram as well, because your Instagram is very much like your website. A post, nothing on it. No post. Yep.
No,
like, just images, just beautiful images.
I've got nothing to say. I got nothing to say.
Images. I think it's just so refreshing. I don't know. I'm trying to remember how I found you, but there was one time I think I had managed to get onto the Lane. I think that's where I've heard about you. I think that's where I was introduced to you. I saw your name on the Lane, and I liked your images that you posted, and I think that's how I discovered you. So obviously you are a member of the Lane, which is a directory for a whole bunch of really talented photographers and filmmakers, I believe.
Yeah.
Filmmakers as well?
I think so,
yeah. Does being on something like the Lane do quite well for business? Is that, if you're not putting words on your website, are people finding you through things like that? And how many other sources like the Lane are you on?
So I'm on the Lane and I'm on the Wedge. So I joined the Lane 18 months ago, nearly 2 years ago, and I joined the Wedge last year. So for those who don't know, they're both big internet for kind of like blog type, things. And I think it was around the end of 2023, and it was that thing where we were all going into that really quiet year where it was just everyone was quiet, like not a lot of inquiries were coming in. And it was just that thing where I'd never spent money on advertising before, and I'd kind of dabbled with Love My Dress and Rock My Wedding when I'd started out, but I'd never got anything for it because there's just 1,000 million photographers out there, and it's very hard for people to kind of get through those things. But I decided that with the year coming up and wanting to push my work a little bit more internationally as well, I decided to kind of I got approached by the Lane and then turned them down. I was like, that's not for me. And then when I crapped myself about the number of bookings I was getting, I was like, absolutely, hang on a second. And it was a strange one because they have a very specific aesthetic. Like if you go on the Lane and you see their photography and their suppliers, it is a super high end, super luxury, very whimsical, very, very, like as curated as it comes in terms of the look. Like everything has to be black and white. Everything has to be like portrait for their website and for their Instagram. They have a very strict set of criteria. However, they did really like my stuff. And that was kind of nice when they approached me and said, look, we're conscious of the fact that we do have a look and we do have a lot of suppliers and that have that same look, and we're not worried, but I think they were like, we need to kind of just diversify a little bit in terms of what we're offering our subscribers. And I joined up and I thought, you know what, let's see what happens. I'll give it 12 months. We'll see what happens. And I'll be honest with you. I know that directories get an absolutely terrible rap most of the time, but I put it out there. I got on the Lane, and I think I booked 5 weddings that first year just by being on the Lane, which was amazing as well.
Yeah.
And I think that the best thing about it was when they interviewed me when I started with them, they said, the last question in the interview was like, what's your bucket list location? Like if you could go shoot a wedding anywhere, where do you want to shoot a wedding? And I was like, I want to shoot a wedding in Tokyo. Like no one gets to shoot in Japan. I want to shoot a wedding in Tokyo. 2 weeks later, I got contacted by a couple from New Zealand who are getting married in Tokyo, and they'd only found me through the Lane. And
then 2 months after that, I went to Tokyo for a week and shot their wedding, which was like, I that would never have happened if I hadn't have taken the leap on and joined the lane, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Paid off straight away.
Oh, absolutely. Like, even if I hadn't booked those 4 other weddings that year, having the experience of flying to Japan and shooting a wedding there, and not many Western photographers get to go shoot over there either. It was, like absolutely incredible. It'll be difficult to kind of top that going forward. No, sure. But it was that thing where, like, you know what, I'm not sure what, I don't really feel like I totally fit with a lane, but I'm going to go with it and see what happens. And there's always, I guess the lesson is, there's always people out there that will still look at these sites, even if they don't initially kind of vibe with the majority of imagery or whatever that's being displayed on there. And, Tim and Ray, the couple who took me across to Japan, they said that like, as soon as they found me, like, that was the kind of, they didn't know what they wanted until they kind of see my stuff, which was great. Yeah. And we very quickly got on. And then 2 months later, I was over there shooting their wedding, which was amazing, really.
Amazing. Yeah, cool. That's awesome. I mean, just for those out there, on a purely SEO basis as well, having a company like that linked to your website, very good for Google.
Talking of bookings, though, sorry.
No, I was
talking of bookings. Like, what's your number? Like, where do you try and aim to get for a year? What's your sort of target when you start out?
So this year I'm doing, I think I've got 23 at the moment. I'll probably cap it at 25. I don't want to shoot any more than that. Next year, I'll probably cap it at 20 again. So I did that thing that I guess a lot of people did. So I think my first year when I was shooting years ago now, I think I shot like 30, and then the second year, like 35, and then around that kind of number for a while. And then COVID hit. I mean, I'm sure it's the same as everybody, but came out of COVID and shot 44 the year after COVID. And it was just like, never again. Like, I don't want to do that ever again. Like, that was wild. And, I think I'm at the stage where, like, work-life balance is super, super important to me. I've got my amazing wife who kind of Monday to Friday has got the kids and helping me out around the house. And then Saturday, Sunday, I'm away every single week. So making sure I'm around as much as I can be in the holidays at the moment, because the girls are both at school now. That's super important. Trying to balance that thing where, like, I am shooting abroad a lot more now, because I kind of held off it for a while when the girls were babies. I didn't take those bookings, so I wanted to be around a bit. But just trying to get that balance right between being around for the kids enough and being around for Kathy enough as I can be, but then also kind of pushing my work out into new kind of pastures anew as well at the same time. But I don't really want to shoot more than 25 a year going forward, I don't think.
Yeah. Where obviously you mentioned shooting in Tokyo, and you've also mentioned shooting in Yorkshire. I'm intrigued. How do you balance those two?
I don't know if you can.
Okay, that's that's fine. So going back to bookings, like, let's talk about how much you charge. Do you include travel? Like, what's your mindset behind everything, pricing, and like everything like that?
So I think when I first started off, I think it was that thing at the time, sort of like, I don't know what it's like now, because I don't really speak to too many of the people, but like when I first started, it was like having to have that one size fits all kind of like, I shoot all day, it's unlimited hours, I'll only go home at the end of the night kind of thing, and this is the price. Travel's all kind of like factored into it, X, Y, and Z, to just try and keep it as easy as possible for the couple. And that kind of worked for like a few years, which was fine. And then I think as I've sort of steadily kind of changed and my business a little bit, I've realized that I do think that couples do want options sometimes, like, sometimes shooting like a half day elopement for someone in London. I can't price that the same way that I'm going to shoot a wedding in Tokyo. So obviously I need to be a little bit more flexible with things. So I now have a brochure with a half day package. I have a full day package, and I got multi-day packages as well, because I do shoot weddings over multiple days now. So I kind of have each of those tiered off, and then I've got like extras, so like second shooters, and then I do charge travel and accommodation on top for international bookings, but I don't charge for anything on the mainland UK. So I mean, I'm shooting in Scotland next week, and the price was all factored in. So accommodation, I'll need hotel for 2 nights, 3 nights, and then I'll be driving up as well. So that's all kind of factored into the price. And when I put the prices together, I just wanted to still kind of keep it as easy as possible for the couples by not kind of adding that stuff on at the end for them. But it was interesting as the years went by that people would start to ask about it. And I was like, oh, okay. So maybe they're a little bit more amenable to kind of paying this side of things. So I've managed to kind of put my prices up year on year, which is great. And I feel like I'm in a position now where my pricing is good. I feel like I'm in a part of the market where I think maybe a year or so ago, I was getting inquiries for amazing sounding weddings, but I do think that I wasn't booking them because I was still underpricing myself a little bit. And I was I wasn't quite in the higher end, but then also I was still kind of slightly too expensive for like the lower end of the market as well. So I feel like I'm in a nice little sweet spot at the moment. Most of I'd say I don't get huge amounts of inquiries, but the inquiries I do get, I'd say I'm probably converting about 80 to 90% of them every time, because I think the couples I tend to get now, they know what they're looking for, or they've got a very good idea of what they're looking for, and they're quite discerning about it as well. And then, as I said, like when they do come in, I do tend to it does tend to be converted most times.
Yeah. Well, did you mention your starting price for a mainline wedding?
Okay, so starting price at the moment is $5,000 all day.
Okay. Cool.
Multiple days goes up from there, somewhere up to about $10,000 for multiple days. And then I don't. This is the kind of thing as well. So I still really enjoy shooting small weddings, and so I shot 3 weddings a couple of weeks ago, and they were all like 4 to 6 people type weddings, town hall ones in London. And they were some of the best weddings I've shot for a long, long time. They were amazing. And I'm glad that I still have, I can still send out like a bespoke quote for those kind of weddings. So I still really enjoy shooting them. Like, I think it is important that we've all got our business heads on and that we know what we're taking home every year, that we've got enough to pay our mortgages, to look after our kids, X, Y, and Z as well.
Yeah.
But there is a big part of what I do there's a huge amount of satisfaction comes from just shooting. Like, there's nothing better than shitting yourself all week about the wedding that's coming up, like being genuinely terrified about it, getting there in the morning, getting your cameras on, and then just being in the zone. Like, that's my favorite thing in the world. And it doesn't matter if it's a 3-day Sikh wedding somewhere or if it's like a 2-person elopement somewhere. Like, I'm totally happy like covering either one of those things, provided I'm given license to just shoot it the way I can shoot it, the way I want to shoot it. And I get a huge amount of satisfaction out of that. So I still enjoy shooting these smaller weddings. That when I think maybe a couple of months ago, or 3 or 4 months ago, I was probably in my mind about, I need to not shoot these half-day ones anymore. They take up time. They are, like they're not worth it financially, but actually they may not pay as much as the other stuff, but I get an incredible amount of sativation out of doing them, basically.
Yeah. It's a hard balance, isn't it? Because I we've had photographers on here who are like, oh, I never want to do like pre-wedding shoots or whatever. And I'm like, I might actually put myself in that boat as well. Like, I wouldn't probably want to do a pre-wedding shoot, but then I can see all the benefits. Like, I also am like you, Luke. I love being in the field, and just not a literal field. Yeah. I love being there because, like, I mean, you mentioned it. I get quite anxious before a wedding, even that night before. Terrible night's sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Even 15 years later.
Even 15 years later, I still get quite anxious. Does anyone out there sympathize?
We've spoke to a lot of people about that, though, and I think it just shows that you care about creating a good product, a good service for the couple.
Yeah, I don't care. Don't give a damn.
But don't you find it mad though? Like 15 years later, like 9 years later for me, like I'm still like, I've got a really big wedding this weekend, and I am even now several days out already like, oh god, okay, I need to do this, need to do that. I'm already trying to second guess myself about how I'm going to act in a situation that I haven't even like got into yet at all. Yeah. And I'm worried that I'll wake up on the day and I'll be absolutely fine. Once I got the cameras on, I'm absolutely fine. But I guess it is because you care. It's because you want to make sure that you deliver at 110% for your couples. Like and I think that's a wonderful part of the wedding industry, that it doesn't really matter who you speak to, at whatever level. Like, everyone that's good at what they do in this industry, that like, it's because they really, really care about it.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know, like you say, like years, decades later, that we are still feeling the same way that we did like just before, like maybe the first wedding we ever shot as well.
Yeah. Are you the sort of person that, obviously you say that once you're in the flow, you feel a bit of comfort. Towards the end of the day, do you start to get anxious again of like, have I captured this right? Have I got it all? Or do you have a confidence that you know you've done a good job?
I think, you know, as the day goes along, like I think, like I said, I divide each part of the wedding day into a mental section of my head, so I know how I want to shoot it, or I get there and I figure out how I'm going to shoot it. In my back of my mind, I figure out how I'm going to kind of edit it and how I'm going to make it look. And also I'm thinking about the kind of images I'm wanting to create there. So obviously, like, the more, you know, the better the light is. Okay. But that's a huge part of it. If you've got kids, if you've got animals, if you've got the chaos, I do like the chaos kind of side of things, like the stuff that you can't script that's kind of going on. I do really really enjoy that kind of stuff as well. And I think as the day goes on, you're thinking about it from, you know, like how many bangers have I got today? Like, have I got some bangers? Do I know if I've got some bangers? And provided you've not completely cocked up a section of the day, like the groups or like the ceremony perhaps or something like that, I think by the end of the day, if I've not been like checking the back of my camera every 5 minutes, that's probably a good sign, because it means that I've not had time to check my work. I've just been busy shooting. So if I've shot, you know, a good, you know, 6,000 to 8,000 frames by the end of like a full wedding day, like, I know I've got some good stuff in there. I don't tend to worry about it too much, but yeah, I think, you know, as you go, like if you've cocked something up or if you haven't quite nailed it the way you need to. But I try and stay as organized as I can do leading up to the wedding, you know, sending out questionnaires, knowing what shots that the couple are kind of hoping for, knowing what, you know, the important aspects and details of the day, so I can make sure that I get all that stuff down. So try and get all that information in before the wedding day. So on the wedding day, you can just be in that zone and just kind of go with it. So I don't tend to worry too much. I love a good dance floor. Like, I do enjoy a good dance floor. So if it's a big wedding with a great dance floor, it's nice to kind of finish the day on something really, really interesting there as well. Something really good. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's not until I get everything into Photo Mechanic or Lightroom that I start to really kind of see what it is that I've got, I suppose.
Yeah. Mention Photo Mechanic and Lightroom. What is your sort of post-production workflow? How long does it take you to cull and edit a wedding?
Again, it's so peak season turnarounds anything between 6 to 8 weeks. Like off season could be like 3 to 4 weeks. Like I try not, although I'm going to probably change this. I try not to do previews. Like, I find that previews kind of in my head kind of messes up my workflow, because if I'm doing a preview from last week's wedding, but then also I need to be culling and editing the wedding I shot 2 or 3 weeks ago, like, it kind of pushes things back. So I don't really do huge previews for people. So in the off season, it's about a 3-week turnaround. Peak season, like 6, sometimes 8 weeks if I've got a real like solid block of weddings, but never longer than that at all. But normally it's, Photo Mechanic. I'm old school, so I know that people talk about Lightroom being great for culling these days, and I think my MacBook's pretty quick, so it could probably do it in there as well. But I've been with Photo Mechanic for about 7 or 8 years now, and I just know how to use it, and it works really, really well for me. So everything into Photo Mechanic, I then cull it down to about full day. I'll probably cull down to about maybe 1,200 photos still, so there's still quite a lot there. And then out of those 1,200, I'm probably going to deliver maybe 400 to 500 of those final shots for a typical wedding day. For a half day, maybe 200, maybe 250, and then for a multi-day, God knows, it depends on how long the coverage is on each of those days, basically. But Photo Mechanic, Lightroom, and then straight into PicTime, essentially.
PicTime, the sponsor. We're going to interrupt this podcast to bring you an advertisement for PicTime. Our buddies at PicTime, we love PicTime. If you want to elevate your business, PicTime's maybe the way to do it.
It's an online gallery delivery service.
It's a really good looking one, which is initially how we got into the service. It just looks better than all the other kind of platforms that we personally use.
Yeah. We've over time got to know the owners, got to know the people behind it. Lovely people, great support system there as well.
There's just so many tools at your fingertips with PicTime, but the marketing and the blogs and the slideshow features
Yeah, there's so much more than just a gallery delivery service. You've got all those things that Simon was talking about. You can create your own blog from it. You can create slideshows. One new feature that I really love is the vendor network. It's where you can use AI to curate a gallery for a specific supplier. So you could use AI to gather all the photos of the flowers and send them to the florist, and they would have that gallery specific just for them.
It's kind of a mind-blowing feature.
Yeah.
And we might as well be taking advantage of AI before the uprising and it starts taking advantage of us. So let's just all bear that in mind.
Yeah, and not to mention the built-in store, and that way you can just make more money while also having a nice, aesthetically pretty gallery.
Yeah. And if you want to sign up today, you can get a free month if you use Perspective at checkout.
Yeah.
So if you want to test it out for free for a month, go for it.
Take your business to the next level with Pick Time.
I want to talk about... Oh shit, I forgot. What the fuck? My mind's just gone. It's just gone.
It's all good.
God. What
You
are we
need another
talking
coffee.
about?
Have another coffee.
Oh god, no, it's probably the coffee that's maybe skip it. What were we talking about just then?
Post-production.
Oh, right, yeah, right, okay. So we were having this, so a little bit of backstory. Look, we're creating another brand because we're videographers with Cinemate. We're trying to very slowly introduce photography in another brand, just so we can try and get our own clients and do photography, because I've always liked photography. But I'm such I'm so early in it that whenever we go out and do like a small shoot, I was just like going through and physically deleting digital files, and Greg's like, "Why the fuck are you deleting files?" And I'm like, "Wait, is there another method? Because I'm a fucking idiot." He's like, "Yeah."
I had to explain culling to him.
Oh, no, honestly, I love taking photographs. All the other things, I am still very early on in knowledge terms. So what was it? What was the method that you told me?
Just never delete anything.
Just never delete starring everything. So that was me going through other things. I'm just starring. That's how I do it. Do you have any tips?
No, not really. So I guess that's essentially what I do. So first off, don't delete anything on your camera on the day. Like never.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, we know that one.
Don't do any of that stuff at all. Obviously, don't do that. When it comes to kind of culling in for me, for photo mechanic, it's again, it's about putting like the images into sections. So I normally shoot on burst mode, so like three shots at a time, and again, I'm mentally kind of like dividing all the little digital contacts like that I'm seeing on photo mechanic into like sections, and I'm going through. And normally what I'll do is I'll start like maybe the three best ones, and then I'll kind of look at those three and go, okay, maybe I'm on to the three. That's the best one. Okay, get rid of the rest. Like that's the keeper there, basically. And I tend to go through it that way. I still end up with like 1,200 shots. There are times that I know that I might see, it might be something, but you're not sure. And until you get it into Lightroom with your preset on it, and you have a little play with the cropping, or you have a little play with the light on it or the white balance on it, like something could be something good a lot of the time. But so I'm not a big fan of like being really strict on my culling. Like I prefer to like, if there's a few kind of gray area ones where it's like that could be something somewhere. Let's get into Lightroom first. Let's get the preset on it. Once it's got looking to the best it's getting, it could possibly look at that you're happy with. How does it then look amongst the other photos in that section of the day? Like, is it just a glaringly weird shot that just doesn't fit at all? Or actually, I've shot a bunch of other photos of a similar like shutter speed or a similar framing around that time that actually these might really fit narratively in that section of the day as well. And even though this is a wild, wacky shot, actually, you know what? I want to keep that because I think it adds credence to this other shot, more traditional shot next to it that might be something a little bit more important to the couple. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I do it. So I am very softly until I get stuff into Lightroom. And then there is almost like a final cull in Lightroom. So once everything's kind of edited, it is very much going through those final kind of all the images I've like given a 5-star to or a flag to. It's like, right, these are my final 600 shots. Let's go through it again. And trying to be as patient as I can be, because I do find at that stage you're desperate just to get it onto pick time, get it to the couple yard. They've been waiting weeks for this. Like, I just want to deliver this now.
Yeah.
But if you can just slow down that final stage, and again, this comes back to that keyword curation again. Curate it and get it into pick time. Delete other ones out again in pick time. I sometimes find myself doing that where it's like, I've got 4 shots of the bridesmaids there. Like, I don't need 4 essentially very, very similar shots there. If they come back to me and they're like, oh, do you have another one where Sue's face doesn't look as mad as that? It's like, yeah, cool. Okay, we can deal with that afterwards. But for me, it's more important about that initial impact when they get their images. Like, they're going to be bowled over. There's hundreds of shots to go through. I want to create an experience for them that is like I want to curate the best experience for them for them to view their wedding photos, essentially. So yeah, those initial shots that might seem like nothing on the day, they could actually be something in the final gallery. I do think that sometimes we kind of we can kind of skirt over the curation side of things a little bit, and it's nice if we could just pause it a little bit towards the end and just take a little bit of extra time and think about how we're going to present those final images to the couple.
Yeah, that is one thing that I learned at Thrive, especially this year, which is drilled in whenever I was watching people go with Sophie Bernard when they were going through their portfolio, their galleries. The one thing is, you're given too much. You've got like, for example, look, that bridesmaid scene when you have 4 of them. Yeah, get that down to 1.
Yeah, you're the expert. You decide. Yes,
and I know it's weird because it's kind of contradictory to what you would imagine. Like, you're giving more, so this is, that's great, but it's not. It goes back to that paradox of choice again. It's like, if you have too much choice, people either won't make a decision, or they'll make a decision and then they'll do that kind of psychological doubt thing where it's like the buyer's remorse or whatever. It's interesting. So
no, I get it, and so I'm from the school of thought where I would rather deliver less than more. Like if I had my way, I think I'd deliver a 20-shot sequence to a couple, or like maybe 50 shots. Like, I would put in the very best shots of the day, and that's kind of what I want. Now, obviously, that's not how a couple wants to remember their wedding day. Obviously, there's so many aspects, so many parts of it, like bits that they were present there for. There's bits that they're not present there for, but they certainly want to see as well. So that I get that, we are there to document. We are there to then kind of present this beautiful narrative back to the couples, and it's great if you want to kind of give as much of that back to that couple as possible. But I do think to create a tighter body of work for your couples, I do feel like the impact will be more meaningful with them. I do feel like I said before, like if they come back and they're like, I love that, but is there a shot where the face is slightly different? Yeah, because that's what all the raw files are there for. Like, I don't mind going back, but I would rather go in giving a final, really tightly curated gallery to a couple rather than kind of overwhelm them with thousands and thousands of photos where they just, again, like it's having to take a breath every kind of minute going, this is a lot, and we've only just got through prep already, and we've already gone through like 200 photos, 300 photos, and it's like, for me, that's not how I want to present my work, and that's not how I want my couples to kind of to enjoy the work, I suppose.
Yeah. And it has the added benefit of, if a couple come to you and say, hey, do you have an alternative version, and you go away and you do have it, it's like, oh, great. He's gone out of his way to deliver exactly what I wanted, or you've gone above and beyond the service that you.
And as I said, I get it. And I'm sure there's people listening to this going, yeah, but why did you just deliver that one in the first place? I get that, but the impact of the initial gallery is more important to me than that. Like, I think them. I don't think they're going to notice that expression the first time around. I think maybe the second or third time they might notice, it's a shame that I'm putting that weird face in that photo. Not the first time. I think the first time they're going to be looking at everything. And that's the important thing for me, is to make that initial impact. I want them to really connect with those photos. I want them to connect with it the way that they connected with my website and my Instagram the first time they found me. And I want them to see themselves on those kind of shots. And I just think tightly curating is the way you do it. Like, I collect like photography books. Like, I'm big into photo books, and like the way that guys go for like 10, 15, 20 years on photo projects, but then we'll make a book and that book's 80 shots from a project. And I respect that. Like they'll have, contact sheet after contact sheet of stuff or digital negatives or whatever. And I like the fact that they've spent time, with a mood board, moving images around, making sure they work alongside each other narratively, but also visually. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to bring into wedding photography as well. I do think that we should probably consider how we present our work to couples a little bit more. And that's just kind of how I like that. That's the route I've gone down recently. That's for sure.
Yeah. I want to talk actually about coloring.
Okay.
Do you have like one preset that you work from that is yours that you apply to all your images and then tweak, or do you have like several different presets that you use for indoor images or shapes and textures or something? Because when I go through your portfolio, there are certain elements that look different in some images, and then obviously comparing the others. So I'm like, yeah, what's your color grading?
So I have one preset, one color preset, and I have 2 black and white presets, and that's all I've got. The caveat to that is that I tweak it every 12 months or so. So I slightly tweak it every 12 months. Okay. But it kind of started out actually not long after I spoke to Dylan Kitchener. I went home, I found a Portra 400 preset somewhere. It was like a Portra 400 one. And I took it, I just tweaked it with my minimal knowledge that I had at the time to kind of get where I needed it to be. Mm-hmm. And that was like 8 or 9 years ago. I took that preset, and that preset is now mutated into the one I've got now. And I try. So I know that lots of people have lots of different types of presets for different lighting situations, for different color casts and things like that as well. I just found it's easier if I have one preset and then I mainly just play with the white balance. That's more often than not what I'm doing. I don't change the contrast. I very rarely change the black point. I very rarely change the highlights, the shadows. It's more 90% of the time it is exposure, cropping, and white balance in the photos. But I think there's maybe 2. I'm having to second guess myself here. And there's maybe 2 shots on my website that aren't with that preset. I tried a different one about 4 or 5 years ago, and it didn't quite work for me. But I think there's still maybe 2 images on my website that have got that. But you probably wouldn't be able to find them. But yeah, okay. It's one preset. It was, as I said, initially based on an old Portra 400 type thing. And then I very quickly just tweaked. I tweaked the tone curves. I've tweaked it quite a lot over the years. So yeah, what I've got now is just something that I know if it's almost like I've kind of started at the end and gone back again. So I find that my preset's going to look this way, then I'm going to shoot a certain way on the wedding day as well. So if I'm shooting from the highlight, if I'm looking for certain color tones or certain color casts from lighting or whatever around, then I know that when I get it onto my preset, provided I just tweak the white balance, or if I play with the exposure a little bit, it's probably going to get to where I need it to get to. So I try and keep it as streamlined as possible from that side of things.
Yeah, that's cool. So I can't actually remember what images that were in the show and tell coming up.
There's quite a few.
But is there? I bet there's quite a few. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, like some images where you've exposed for the highlights, the shadows have this kind of like cyany blue type tint to them. But then further down, I'm like, oh, I don't see that. Some of them are more warmer, and then you've got nighttime images which are just like full of color. Yeah, just a whole. So I was intrigued because it seems like you'd maybe have loads, but it's no.
I get that all the time. I do a bit of teaching, a little bit of mentoring, and honestly, more often than not, it's about editing. It's more often about like, what can I teach people to edit? Can I help them with editing? Can I help them create a preset? And I can do all that. That's fine. But I think there is this idea that if you do look through my galleries or whatever, then I've used multiple presets across the day and throughout the gallery. And it's just not the case at all. And when I talk about like tweaking them, like maybe every 9 or 12 months, it's like the tiniest little tweaks. Like maybe there's too much yellow in there and I need to bring this little, maybe need to bring some warmth back. Like it's all tiny little bits and pieces. But honestly, exposure, cropping and white balance, like that tends to be the things that I tend to utilize. There's not really a lot else done with the majority of editing that I do, really.
Okay. I just to keep on the mentoring thing. I didn't realize you mentored.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't know because I took the page off my bloody website, didn't I?
Are you still mentoring?
Yeah. Oh God, no.
Okay.
I don't do workshops. I don't do conferences. That's not my thing. But I do really enjoy teaching one-on-one. I really, really enjoy that aspect of being able to sit and just like we're doing now, having that chat over a video camera, or even sometimes in person as well, and then being able to like not worry about what it is they need to ask me or me. Like, there's no judgment regarding me looking at their work or anything like that at all, because I think, I'm a pretty introverted person, and I've been at workshops and conferences and stuff before where I've wanted to ask something, but I've been too scared to. I've been too worried that people are going to react like negatively to my work, or to maybe I'm going to ask a dumb question. But I find that in a mentoring situation, it's a safe space. People can ask what they want to. It doesn't really matter whether you've been going for 10 or 15 years, whether you've been going for a year. I don't mind that at all. It's been interesting recently having photographers who've been around a lot longer than I have, like coming to me, like to chat about bits and pieces as well. And I really enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it. I keep my head down for the most part in the industry, but it's nice to meet new people and to make new connections with people with similar kind of views on how they want images to look, I suppose.
Yeah. Before we're going show and tell, I want to go back to you mentioned like not really giving previews. And I know Simon's of a similar mindset to you where he doesn't like jumping between projects.
Yeah.
So do you deliver some previews, and like what's...
So I don't offer it. It tends to be that thing, is that if a bride comes up to you at the end of the day and puts her arm around you and says, any chance you could get something across to me tomorrow? And it's like, I can't say no. It's your wedding day. Yeah, I will do. The thing for me is as well. So when I've done previews, is that especially with my work where it requires a lot of the different types of stuff to be in there. Like, you need the mundane stuff, you need the detail stuff, you need the epic stuff to kind of make it kind of work for you, to make the narrative work. And I've always been very cautious about delivering like 10, 15, 20 shots that don't really have any context in the greater scheme of the gallery. And so I try not to offer it. But what I would do instead is I would then deliver the full gallery ahead of time. That's my kind of thing. That's my kind of like dangling the carrot in front of a couple, saying, look, I may not be able to get you something in the next 48 hours, but I'll probably be able to get the whole gallery in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And sometimes they're like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah, you can't get away from the fact that if you've had an awesome time with a couple on their wedding day and you're saying goodnight and you're saying goodbye, and 70-80% of the time one of them's going to turn around and say, any chance you got something so I can send it to mum? Or so it's like,
yeah.
So I try not to advertise it, but I do it. So I think the last 3 weddings I shot, the ones I shot in London the other week, they've all got previews. They've all had previews. So yeah. And to be honest, 2 of them were great. 2 of them absolutely loved it. The third one, because it was a pretty chaotic kind of day, like they were happy with them, but I could tell that they really want to see the full gallery to kind of get the full impact of all of it as well. So I'm not entirely sure whether they got the full benefit of having an extra shot to send to mum who's over in Australia right now. Like, I'm not sure whether it was actually worth me going out my way for those guys, but I try not to do them.
Yeah. So it's something that I think a lot of photographers just do because they feel they have to, or they're supposed to, like it's just the norm. But I guess there is another part of it where some photographers use it as their marketing, where they're like, I'll get these previews out, the florist will share it, the venue will share it, and that's my marketing done for me.
Yeah, and dude, totally get that. That's just not how I market myself. That's all. I think there comes, I think almost my USP comes from the fact that I'm not very forward facing, that I am fairly quiet, and that there is a little bit of intrigue when people reach out to me because they're not entirely sure. So they don't see a lot of stuff of me tagged or tagging other vendors in this, that, and the other. Yeah. And, if I was more active on Instagram or whatever other social media, then I would definitely want to do that kind of stuff. And I would probably do previews, for every couple. But I do worry that if you are doing previews for every single couple, there is going to come a point where you're going to shoot a wedding that was really hard, like whether it be through the couple, the guests, the weather, like the catering, like something will happen at some point in one of those weddings. And you've got to get up the next day and you've got to put a really awesome preview together for them and send it out. And I feel like you're making a bit of a rod for your own back that way. And it's not that I don't love all my couples, like there's no doubt about that at all. But like when it comes to marketing, like this is about me and for my couples that haven't booked me yet. So I don't share huge amounts from weddings at all. I don't put previews out. I don't put stuff on Instagram the next day. If I find an image from a wedding that fits my grid or fits my portfolio, cool, I'll do something with that maybe. But I don't find any particular immediate drive to have to kind of get something out there straight away. I'm sharing stuff from weddings now from like 4 or 5 years ago that I haven't shared before, just because it kind of looks good on the grid, or I've rediscovered it because I like to go back through my old work to kind of reappraise things as well. And I'll occasionally look at stuff and go, wow, I can't believe I've not even looked at that one. I'm definitely downloading that. I'm going to share that next week. And I think there needs to be a separation between what you deliver to your couples has got to be the best it can be, but then also where you want your business to go and the kind of couples you want to attract at the same time. And I do worry that if you're blogging every single wedding that you do, you're only ever going to get the same weddings at the same venues for the same people all the time. And for me, I'm quite restless, and I always want to go and experience new weddings in new places with new couples, basically. So for me, it's about trying to stay true to the aesthetic that I'm kind of putting out there on my website and my Instagram, I guess.
Yeah, I get that.
Should we pull up some images?
Let's go to show and tell. The section where we go through some of the images that I liked from your portfolio and we talk about them. So this one, and by the way, I'll preface this by saying I can't remember what images that I did pick up yours because I did it so long ago. In fact, as soon as you said yes, I was like, yes. Yeah. And then I went and did these. So this one, we were talking about, earlier on in the podcast, you give the example of preps and the bride being in the bad lighting, just like chaos around her. Yeah. And then talking about like, you're not like full documentarian. But this kind of shot to me kind of has that kind of street photography chaotic vibe. Yeah. And I really enjoy it for that. It's on a compositional level, it's the kind of breaking of the image with two people facing two different ways. But then, if you go further into the image, it's like, what's in the paper cup? Like that doesn't scream elegant wedding to me, paper cup. You got this guy like straining in the sun. Yeah. You can't see people's faces. You've cut off every single face except for the bride, but you've used her hair to get like all of these elements to me. Yeah. Are just make this image. So can you tell me about this image in particular? If you can remember.
Yeah, of course.
And your mindset.
I mean, it's again, like if you go through the rest of the website, it's not a typical kind of Luke Bell type image, but for a load of different reasons. So it was the bride in the front with the paper cup. That's the bride. The gentleman behind her, that's the groom. So the Holly in the front, Charlie in the back. This is outside St. Paul's Cathedral in central London. So they just got married at St. Paul's Cathedral. We'd come out, we'd shot a few portraits on the steps. We'd done a big group shot of all the guests. So there's like 150 people came to the wedding. We shot this giant group shot outside. Obviously, like daily London life is continuing around St. Paul's Cathedral while this is all going on. Yeah. We do the groups, we do the family shots. They then go all the guests and the family then go off onto the double-decker buses because they're off to the reception venue. And I'm left with Charlie and Holly, and we're desperately trying to kind of get some kind of shots in and around without there being people around. But their car was parked around the side of the cathedral, so they went all around to the car to go meet the chauffeur. And so obviously we're walking through all these couples the whole time. We go meet the chauffeur. He's got a bottle of champagne for them, but he's just got these little paper cups, pours them a glass, and then Holly had said, I want to do some more photos while we've got time. Can we do some? And on the walk back around the other side of St. Paul's, I was like, okay, this might be interesting if I shoot at 24mm. So I normally shoot 2 cameras, both Canon. I normally shoot 90% of the wedding day on a 50, and I shoot about 10% on a 24 or a 135. Mm-hmm. And I rarely use much on the 24. I find the distortion can be a little bit too much for me, but I did know that we were going to be having to maneuver through crowds to get back around the side of the cathedral. And I thought, you know what? It'd be interesting to see what I can get as we walk around. And this is literally just a hip shot, fired from the side.
Yeah.
It's pure luck. Like, I didn't notice.
I love
that. I knew the couple on the left, like they were kind of enjoying the light. They were tourists. They were just enjoying the light. Holly's got this, as I said, very unglamorous paper cup of champagne. Charlie's desperately trying to keep up with us behind, but shooting super wide, it did kind of have that street photography kind of look to it.
Yeah.
And that was one of the more that was one of the shots, despite how messy it kind of is. It as you say, her hair's across her face. Charlie's slightly out of focus behind because the focus is on her. I don't really care. Like, I like, as much as I like clean images, I like interesting images too, and I like ones that have a little bit of dirt around the edges to them too. So it's just us walking through a crowd outside St. Paul's Cathedral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
cool. I really like that.
You mentioned 2 bodies. Canon, is that R6? What bodies?
Yeah. So I try and keep it as minimal as possible. I shoot R6s, not the new ones, the old R6s. I'm not a gear head at all. Like, it took me ages to even upgrade to those. Before that, I was shooting like 5D3s. The thing for me is, it's about the color science. I think Canon's color science is still untouched in terms of like how I want my images to look and where I've got my preset and my final gallery to look now. It all comes from Canon color science, and most of the time shooting on the old EF 150 1.2. Like, that's like my lens that I've shot with for a good 8-9 years solid now. Like, I will shoot most of the wedding day on that lens, and then the 135 and then the 24 are the 2 other lenses I have that I interchange on the other body most of the time. Mm-hmm. But most of the images on my website, I imagine, would be on the 50, the 24, or the 135.
Yeah, that's good to know that I'm still getting my focal lengths right, because in my head I was thinking 50 is the prime lens for me for your portfolio.
Yeah, I will quickly say, because I'm going to catch myself out now, I bought a 35mm lens this year, and I have just started using it. And the first wedding I used it at, I really struggled. I really struggled with that. I like it was just the extra width on it, and I immediately was finding myself stepping forward because I'm so used to having the 50. Mm-hmm. But I do have a 35 and I do have an 85 in my bag, but I don't really like using them because I do like the aspect of what the 50 can do to an image, and I do like a telephoto as well. The 135 gets a fair amount of use as well, because it's great for doing close-ups and abstracts, and it's really great for doing portraits on the fly as well, which I love. But I do have a 35, which I am tentatively trying to figure out at the moment.
Okay, I'm intrigued. All right, next one. Oh yes.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of these type of images in your portfolio, and I know many photographers would just instantly bin something like this, but I really like it. It's, to me, there's two main colors here. There's the red and the yellow, and the focus it's not really on any particular element exactly. It's like one of those kind of vibe images that I was talking about throughout your gallery. But to me, it's just a nice color, shape, patterns, images And I don't, if I had to guess, I would probably say it doesn't go any deeper than that. But I'm intrigued to hear your opinion.
So, I mean, this is the thing. Like, looking at someone's website is great because, of course, like, you've found that image and you've read into it, like, what you think, and that's great. I love the fact that if you, and this is maybe why I like minimal kind of imagery, which is where I like there to be a little bit of mystery about it. I want people to look at it and go, I'm not sure what I'm looking at, but if you can make someone pause and take time to kind of figure it out, I think that counts for so much with regards to like good imagery, good quality imagery. So yeah, I mean, ultimately it's a photograph shot in ambient light on a dance floor in I can't remember the name of the venue. It's in Devon somewhere. Really cool country house. And it's got like this dance floor downstairs. It's like an old wine cellar that's been converted into like a club basically. And I just shot the whole thing ambiently. I didn't fire any flashes, because it's got these lights that go down the ceiling in this really cool way. It had like a sound system in the corner. Like it was all, you put up the ISO, you shoot wide enough open, you can get some really cool stuff that kind of captures it that way. And I like that. I like playing with context. I like sometimes shooting wide and getting like a real scene, like a real street photography type scene. And I do enjoy doing those. Other time, I like taking that context away and just making it's about yellow, it's about red, and it's about there's a person in the image somewhere. Yeah. And you know, I just like messing around with taking context and giving it back to people and kind of leaving the interpretation up to the viewer. Essentially, I think some of my favorite images from weddings and from other photographers as well is me looking at them and still not really totally understanding or not really kind of guessing what it is, but you know, at a wedding day, the context is already there. Like that, like the wedding is the context. Here's all the images in it. So sometimes we don't have to shout it so loud. Sometimes, so it's nice just having it's nice having a vibey image sometimes, just to kind of like play off all the other kind of typical kind of standard stuff.
Yeah. I think like the minimalism of the colors is something you see in cinema and TV quite a lot. So it comes back to that. Like I think recently I saw a breakdown of Severance, and like almost every scene has two or maybe three at most colors in it. Yeah. And it's like that simplicity is just, it's something that cinema uses a lot.
I mean, yeah, I think sometimes like we can't see the forest for the trees. Like photography is like this really basic thing. Like, you know, we've got form, we've got light, we've got color, we've got connections between the people in the photographs as well. And I think sometimes you can, I think sometimes we forget that it's a wedding. You are at a wedding. You are a wedding photographer. Like, you don't have to kind of shout it from the rooftops. Like it doesn't have to be that way. And leaving it open to interpretation, a little bit more open to interpretation, can be a really great thing for someone who wasn't at the wedding to see it. I think that works great for marketing. I think that works great. Even for the final gallery, I know that shot, the couple gave that shot to their friend who was in the photo. And that's her profile photo. That's her profile photo on Instagram.
Really? That's amazing.
That's the other thing with like long lenses as well. Sometimes like you remove a lot of the context, but what you then end up kind of doing is you provide a new kind of portfolio image for the person who's in it sometimes as well, if it's kind of an interesting one that they kind of like themselves in as well. So there's lots of different ways that we can kind of like take the images. I think there's lots of different ways that you can kind of see merit in images as well. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that other one too. Totally get it.
So the next image, this is actually one of the ones I was talking about with the cyany blue in the shadows there. Okay. Again, you have this eye for light, and kind of like I was saying earlier, very much like me. If I find a pocket of light, just to throw somebody in or capture something happening in that pocket of light, you can kind of remove a lot of the street, and it just becomes a little bit more interesting and more of a beautiful image. Tell me about this photo in particular, and then your approach to lighting, because I'm assuming this is like it kind of has the kind of sunsetty type vibes in the city, but I could be wrong.
So funny enough, this one was taken in Yorkshire, guys. Actually taken in Yorkshire.
Oh, wow. Get out of town.
Yeah, I know. Would you believe it? So the venue's a place called Grantley Hall, which is up near Ripon, North Yorkshire. Really cool, really lovely country house. And this wasn't the wedding day. This was the welcoming dinner the night before. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. That is me walking from a separate part of the venue over towards where this reception was happening, and seeing the bride's friend make her walk down the stairs with her partner. And just as they got to the bottom of the stairs, she was telling the bride to turn around to look at her. And I just nailed the shot. I think it was like on the 135. I'm absolutely miles away. And if I'd have gone back and tried to recreate that photo, like pose it all up, wouldn't have been able to do it. Wouldn't have been able to get that at all. Not the same way. So it was just, again, like luck, serendipity, just being in the right place at the right time. And yeah, the blue color cast is an interesting one. So the ground, they're on like these kind of like very gray, very almost blue type slate tiles on the ground. And there's actually a wall next to them as well that's kind of been darkened out. And that was kind of casting this blue kind of shadow tint onto them a little bit.
Okay.
So that, I think, would be where that might come from. And then obviously I've stuck my preset on top of it, and it's kind of come out a lot more blue than it maybe normally would.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I could tell you some amazing story about how I found this pocket and I got the couple to walk down the stairs into it. And honestly, all it was that they were playing with the bride's friend, getting some photos for TikTok probably. And I was just running like an idiot because I saw them stood in some light, and I had to just make sure I nailed it before they kind of walked out of it.
Yeah. I think I enjoy that more than it was pre-planned or whatever, because I think the strength of wedding photographers and filmmakers is that we very quickly develop the eye for things that are happening or things that are about to happen out with our control. Yeah. So an image like this is just wonderful to me. I'm trying to understand. So I'm on did you say Grantley Hall?
Grantley Hall, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
got it.
Cool looking venue. I'm trying to see where the steps are. Is this inside or?
No, so they've got a restaurant across to one side. If you go on the website, they got I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but they're like, it's not the main house. Off to one side,
is it Fletcher's?
Separate building that they do. I think they've got like I don't think he's a Michelin star chef, but they have their own chef in this, so you can come and dine there without having to stay at the house if you want to.
Cool place. I watch shoot there. Look at all the textures and colors. That looks great. Anyway, next image. Oh yes, I love a good dance floor photo. I love it even more when it's an image like this. I remember taking one at Hogmanay that was like this. I don't know if you remember, Greg. It was just like smoke filled. I mean, mine was backlit, but I always remember it with the hands up, and it's one of my favorite images because of the depth. And this reminds me of that. Obviously, not quite the same thing, but yeah, I just like it. I get a very like side-on type vibe with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
with the colors coming in from one side, red, and then the kind of the white light on the right. I just really like it for all those kind of elements, and I appreciate when you can go levels into an image, right? So like the colors are good. I get the vibe, but then you can go into it like, what's she doing with her face? Like something's happening over here, but you can't see because the smoke. So you're looking harder into just. I like it for that sort of thing.
Cool.
I'm trying to think of what it reminds me of, like an old kind of fine art painting almost.
I'll say that
it's got a painterly look to it.
There's like a scene,
smoke, and whatever you're doing with the colors.
Yeah,
it's got a painterly look to it.
So talk to me about this.
Absolutely. So I guess in context, like this is the opposite of like the yellow and red shot we were talking about before. This is kind of like the opposite of that. So there's like that one had context removed because it's like a shot on a long lens, and it's very much like a portrait, an abstract kind of portrait. This is the opposite. This is the scene. So this was at a wedding in North Wales about 2 or 3 years ago, and it was just a really great day. It's one of the best weddings I ever shot. It was just everyone was on point. The light was amazing. Bride and groom were fantastic, and then it all nearly went to hell. It all nearly went to hell because the DJ just didn't turn up.
Like the DJ just didn't turn up. So it's like, it gets like 9 o'clock and we don't really know what's going on.
Oh, fuck.
And then suddenly this guy kind of barges through the door and he's like, I'm really sorry, really sorry, really sorry. And he sets up in like 5 minutes flat. And at this stage, they're dealing with a lot of like fairly inebriated, drunk wedding guests who are just desperate to party, basically. Mm-hmm. And he just cranked out the first dance. The couple didn't even do a first dance. They pretty much just told him to stop it, and all right, no, just get the tunes on. And as soon as he stuck the tunes on, he just put his foot down on the smoke machine, and the whole room just filled up with smoke. And it was like, awesome, totally into it. So he's added a little bit of X factor to it. Everyone's on the dance floor because everyone's really having a good time at this stage. And the way I decided to shoot it was it was in a big kind of hall, in a big country house, in a big hall, and they'd set out across the hall. So it was kind of a crossways across the hall. So I was stood to one side. I stood on a chair. I was elevated because I'm a short dude and I need to get that elevation because there was so much going on in the crowd. Yeah. And I decided that I was going to kind of shoot down from above with the 50, and that was kind of how I started to shoot it. And like I do in most weddings, I start to shoot ambiently, just using whatever lights he had. But I realized really quickly that the DJ hadn't finished setting his lights up. And I was like, oh, Luke, you're going to have to use flash. This is mad. Like, I don't really use flash that much. So what I decided I was going to do is recreate the dance floor. You recreate his lights. So I got a flash on the stand on one side, a flash on the stand on the other side, and I'm stood in the middle. So the red light is a gel flash, and the whitish, greenish, yellow light is also another flash. And I'm just firing them from both angles into it. Yeah. And the reason I chose the yellow and red is I've been doing like reading about like color science and like color therapy and things like that, and how certain colors complement each other, how others play off. And there'd been a bit of a theme with red and yellow throughout the wedding day anyway. I think the bridesmaids might have like colored dresses or like accessories, bags like those colors. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was literally the only kind of reasoning why I kind of set the colors up that way. But I'm not a huge fan of bare flashlight. I like it to kind of like make it feel like it's part of like the party essentially, or the scene that we're kind of in. Mm-hmm. And I just stood up on this chair for like 20 minutes, just firing frames. I think I tried with the 135, and I think I tried to get in and amongst it with the 24, but they were really drunk, and I was more worried about people spilling beer all over my gear at that stage. So I just stayed back, and I don't have a problem. Like once I've set up my light stand, I don't have a problem being static from there, and then kind of using a longer lens or a shorter lens to zoom in and out of the fray, and maybe using the longer lens to pick certain people or certain like little scenes within the larger scene to kind of get those shots as well. Yeah. But I'm super proud of those ones. Like I like to light my dance floors like try and reflect how they would look to the couple when they were in and amongst them as well. I think as soon as you see like a bare flash, then immediately it's like, well, that is the photographer putting himself in the image. That's just my opinion on it anyway. And I'm not a big fan of like bare flash type like shots into the dance floor. So if I can disguise it any way I can, then I try and do so.
Well, disguise this, because as an outsider, you look at that and it feels like, although it's not normal to have lights from both directions, like if a DJ had set it up, it would be all from one sort of point usually, but you don't look at that and go, oh, he's created that light. It's like, it feels like that probably was what it was like.
Yeah. So, awesome. That's the goal, my friend. So thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. Was that the last one?
No, God, there's two more. There's this one and one more.
Right. Okay. So, what is going through your mind when you capture something like this? Because to me, it's almost like the dance, like the red and yellow shot from before, when there's someone there, but there's literally no one in this frame.
No.
So I'm intrigued.
No, because there doesn't need to be anyone in that frame. It is a necklace. It's a diamond necklace photographed out of focus on a 135. And the reason I shot it on a 135 out of focus would be so I could get those kind of effects from the diamonds reflecting the light. And I like the idea that don't get me wrong, like if you look at the gallery, there's a shot of the necklace perfectly in focus as is, okay?
Yeah.
It's taking an object, and then I like the idea of playing with it and playing with the light and doing something funny with the equipment you've got, rather than having to just literally take it for what it is, like photograph it as it is, and that's kind of how you deliver it. So in the context of my website, I love the fact you picked this one because I knew it was so weird. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but all I like is I like the color, I like the rainbows, I like the fact of what the jewels have done. In the grand scheme of the couple's gallery, it makes a lot more sense because, of course, next to that photo is an actual in focus shot of the bride's necklace on the day as well. So that's kind of what it is. But I prefer that interpretation of the necklace, if that makes sense.
It's, I really did it. I was intrigued because my guess was, maybe this was like light on a wall or something. And sometimes I will just turn my, like, if there's something just nice happening, like something shadows, like a light is coming through and it's causing something to move, I'll just capture the movement of the random thing just because it looks pretty, not because not because I think it's going to make the movie or whatever. Yeah. Because half the time I shoot stuff and it doesn't, I know it's not going to make it into the movie. I know for a fact it doesn't, but I still like to capture it because I would feel let down in myself if I didn't capture that beautiful moment.
Isn't that interesting that you've noticed something and something's caught your interest and you've videoed it, but then it maybe doesn't make it into the final edit? Is that something that you would ever consider doing? Like, because that's where I would do something like that. It's like if I see something that's really interesting and it isn't necessarily as literal as what you kind of need it to be for a bride and groom, like nothing's in focus, it is an abstraction of some sort. I see, that's the stuff I love. I like, and I don't do lots of it on a wedding day, but if I see something like, for example, a necklace and I photograph it, can I photograph it in a slightly different way? What does the necklace do when the light hits it? Like, what does the curtain do when the wind's kind of moving it in the light? Like I think there's a lot to be said for these little details, these little fleeting moments that I think on a wedding day, like you might like, certainly for a bride or a groom, they might notice it, but then maybe forget initially again. But I love putting the abstract stuff in there. I think it's great, especially if it's got something about it. So with that one, I just like the way that the diamonds like refracted the light. Like I'm super into like how the colors came through because I was shooting at the 135, and then I deliberately made it so out of focus that it would become this totally strange thing. But again, I understand that without the shots next to it of the necklace in focus, without the bride putting it on, then maybe that image itself would be a bit weird to maybe kind of get your head around in a wedding gallery or even on a photographer's website. So I can get both sides totally.
Yeah. The deep. I quite like theories of existence and all that kind of stuff. The thing I like about moments like this is because they're fleeting, it'll only ever happen once, ever, in that one moment in time, and then it no longer exists to anyone else. So I kind of like the idea of, I've experienced this once in a lifetime moment, and I've captured it so that other people can enjoy this once in a lifetime moment that will never happen in the existence of Earth, history, whatever, time. There you go. But then I think
it's worth me just mentioning just once more as well. It's worth me mentioning that shot, that previous shot of the necklace, that's been printed out and is now on the wall of the couple. Like they like that much. They printed it. So I do get like a lot of that kind of stuff, like a couple's. I do get booked by a lot of couples that love their wedding photos, but they don't necessarily want to put wedding photos on their walls. So something a bit more artistic, a little bit more abstract, a little bit more different about some of the shots. I do find that a lot of the time they're the ones that end up getting printed out on like in frames or put up on a wall as well. So, and I do know that previous shot did end up getting printed, which is really cool.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, I love that. And you're right. I think I would be on the same mindset as, I don't want to have my wedding pictures on the wall. Like maybe of friends and family, like groups, maybe. Although I don't have any printed up on my wall. I got loads of photographs. Not many of my wedding. Maybe one or two. Older grandparents are now dead. But so, right. Last image, Craig.
Yes.
Last image. Our podcast listeners are like, oh man, I really want to see all these. But you can just go to our YouTube or Spotify. Anyway, so these images I love because again, it's like direct light thing. But because you have, I'm assuming you're on your 50 again, you've been able to like really hone in
Yeah.
to this light, and it's, to me, it's a texture image. You have a good few of these in your portfolio.
Yeah,
To me, it's capturing textures, and
yeah,
I love that.
I mean, so that was shot. I can't remember the name of the venue. It's outside London, and it was just that thing where I'd shot plenty of candids. I'd done the groups, and it was maybe 20 minutes before they were due to go sit down for the wedding breakfast, and I'd kind of got all like the kind of the textbook stuff in the bag already, which was great. And it was more about like, can I be playful at this stage? So I do like to kind of do that thing where I get all the basic textbook stuff in the bag, and then let's go have some fun now. So
Yeah.
I noticed that people were coming in and out of this doorway at the venue, and I just stood against a tree that was behind me, just outside the door. And it was a Nigerian wedding, and all of the bride's aunts, all the groom's aunts and uncles, they all had these amazing outfits, and they all looked beautiful. And I'd shot plenty of kind of like typical candids of them, very kind of like, lots of face and this, that, and the other. But the outfits were just so amazing. I didn't really know how to kind of show them off as part of the gallery. So I just sort of stood against this tree, and I was just shooting people coming in and out of this door. And again, just shooting for the highlights, because I really wanted to hone in on it. And I wasn't worried that I didn't catch her face, because I've already like 10 minutes previously, I'd gone and shot loads of candids of her anyway. I'd shot all the groups with her in it anyway. But what I was interested in was her necklace, her earrings, her hat, the texture of her top. Like, I thought it was worth showing that off. I thought that was an important part of the day. The fact that not just the bride and groom, but everyone else there had put so much thought into what they were wearing. I was like, you know what? Let's see what we can get. And yeah, like I don't think I've seen anyone else wear an outfit so as amazing as that. I photographed the woman so much, she must have hated me by the end of the day. I thought she looked incredible. But yeah, she's walking back into the wedding venue, just walking past me, just in front of me, and I'm just again there, just with a 50, just shooting as she goes through the line.
Yeah. Okay. So it is a 50.
It's the 50, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It was an incredible outfit.
Yeah, it is an incredible outfit.
Good photo too.
You mentioned other outfits. Do you have a whole row of like images like this of different outfits, or is it just this one lady?
Yeah. So from that wedding, I was there for about 15 minutes, and and people were walking backwards and forwards. So it was just like shoot, and sometimes it would be like trying to get people's faces in the light just as they came out to see if I could get a really cool profile. Other times I would maybe more take a step forward, because I'll be going in for like a detail on an outfit as well. So I think there's maybe a sequence of about 10 or 15 shots from that one moment in time. And it was just that one lady's particular outfit that I just fell in love with. I just thought she looked amazing. And so it was that one that kind of made it onto the website.
Yeah, it's nice. It's that kind of blue and orange as well. They get, again, the kind of complementary colors. Awesome.
That was a lot of images you chose.
That was I'm sorry. And there was, you see, the thing is, right? Go and have a look through Luke's website. There are so many great images. I mean, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's again, an honorable mention is this father of the bride, perfectly framed behind a brown kind of gradient wall, and he's wiping a tear, and I just thought, oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So many of your images, Luke, are just absolutely beautiful. Yeah, just I really do like it. So I was excited when you said you'd come on and speak to us. So
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I'm not a big fan of doing public things, and when you reached out, I thought, if I say yes quickly, I can't back out. So I've got to do it now, because I've been asked to sort of do conferences and workshops and stuff, and I just can't do it. I'm too scared of like public speaking, really.
Yeah,
but yeah, when you got in touch, and I'd seen a couple of episodes. I'm a huge fan of Matt Kay. The Woods. Like, that dude knows what he's talking about. He's amazing, and I've been kind of following you guys for a little bit now. So it was really kind of you to get in touch, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah,
our pleasure.
Well,
our pleasure.
You mentioned photo books earlier, that you're a collector. Do you have any that you would recommend to people that they should go and check out, like top 2 or something? Or just the first two that come to your head?
Okay, so I mentioned William Klein earlier on. Go check out William Klein's books. Like, go look at his contact sheets. Go look at the mixed media stuff, the work that he did with magazines. His street photography is incredible as well. Yeah, definitely look at him. There is go look at Harry Grayart if you want to understand like street photography with abstract kind of scenes in it. Like Harry Grayart, is it? I can't remember how to spell it. He's Belgian anyway. He's got slightly odd spell surname that I can't get right.
Gruyaert.
That's the man. Go check out his work. Get his books because they're cheap. You can get them fairly cheap as well. Buy the books, don't buy them from Amazon, buy them from a bookseller.
Absolutely.
He's good. There is a great, unbelievable British photographer who's up and coming at the moment called Jack Davison. Go check out Jack Davison, Davison. Really cool portraiture, like the best portraiture you've ever seen, like really high contrast, really interesting, really surreal, really abstract. But he's shooting for like New York Times and a bunch of other people, and it's just really cool. Really, really different. Really, really cool. Check out Sarah Van Rij and David Van der Loo. I think they are a Dutch couple who do they do like these really cool like abstract kind of set lay flats and stuff like that, and they started in street photography, and now again I think they've been picked up by some big brands like Louis Vuitton and people like that to run campaigns for them. And these are all people that I think I started following them maybe like 2019 2020 when they were still up and coming, and they're now huge. I could go on. There's tons. Like go out.
There's loads for people to check out.
Yeah,
no, dude, like if like get off Instagram, go to a bookshop, wherever, online, go to Village Books. They're like my local one in Leeds, villagebooks.co.uk. Go see what they've got and just find an artist, find a photographer who you think might resonate with you, and then get the book and then enjoy what the book is, the way that the thought that's gone into the cover, the typeface that's been used on it, the sequencing of the images in the books as well on the projects that they've gone through. Like it's take all that and then take it into a wedding day. It'll blow your mind. It's absolutely awesome. I think there's a lot to be had from looking at contemporary photography and even older photography as well outside of the wedding world. And I think there's a lot that we could bring into the wedding world from those people, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You can buy books online at the villagebooks.co. Just so you know, you don't need to.
There you go.
Yeah, but I'll absolutely support your local bookstores. I won't bother looking at Amazon. too many to note. Look, thank you very much for joining us on what has been a very enjoyable episode of the podcast. I have to say. Yeah. Where can people find you online if they want to check out your portfolio or your work or?
Yeah, so my website is lukebellphotography.com, and I'm on Instagram as Luke_J_Bell. And that's kind of it. I barely function on Facebook. I don't have TikTok. I'm too old for that shit. And that's kind of it. So yes, appreciate the shout out, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You mentioned mentoring. If people wanted to mentor with you, what's the anyway? Do they just get in contact with you and say, "Hey, I'm looking for mentoring"?
Just email me. My email's on my website. You can fill in the contact form. You can DM me on Instagram. I tend to check my Instagram DMs every few days anyway, just in case. But yeah, if anyone's interested, if anything that I do kind of resonates with you, then yeah, get in touch. Let's have a chat.
Awesome. I would recommend you do that if you're looking to create some awesome work. And people can find us at perspectivebycinemate.com, at perspectivebycinemate, everywhere else. Thank you to Jack and Pick Time for sponsoring this episode. If you have liked this conversation, please do join us on our YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And we do hope to see you in the next one. However,
in the meantime,
enjoy your life.